Hello and welcome. Tonight, tragedy strikes Niger State as a fuel tanker explosion claims over 30 lives, leaves dozens battling for survival in a very down disaster. The Senate moves to impose life imprisonment without parole for anyone found guilty of defiling minors, protecting all children equally. The House moves to safeguard vital private investments, passing a resolution to curb industrial disruptions amid Pengassan standoff with Dangote refinery. And President Trump's anticipated meeting with Vladimir Putin hits a dead end as U.S. officials confirm no immediate plans for talks. And on business, lawmakers demand transparency from CBN and Ministry of Finance over billions released to states since 2023.
On sports news tonight, Nigeria's under-17 girls face France in Wednesday's must-win Group D clash at the FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup in Morocco.
And from Abuja, FCT Minister Nyesom Wike dares past government to match President Tinubu's record-breaking infrastructure project in the Federal Capital Territory. Tonight, we begin with a tragic story coming from Niger State, where at least 30 people have lost their lives, while about 40 others have sustained various degrees of injuries in a tragic tanker explosion that occurred around 11 a.m. today at Essa and Badegi communities along the Bida-Agye Road in Kacha local government area of Niger State. Eyewitnesses say the victims were scooping fuel from a fallen tanker when the vehicle exploded, setting off a massive fire that engulfed scores of people and burning many of the victims beyond recognition, while the injured were evacuated to nearby hospitals for treatment. Confirming that sad incident, the chairman of the Niger State Tanker Drivers Association, Comrade Farouk Kawo, described the tragedy as devastating and avoidable. According to him, the ill-fated tanker was conveying petroleum products from Lagos to the northern part of Nigeria when it crashed. He also lamented that over 30 tanker accidents have been recorded along the Bida-Agye route in October alone, blaming the high rate of crashes on the deplorable state of the road. Meanwhile, Niger State Governor Umaru Bago has extended his deepest condolences to the people of Essa Kacha local government area, and he also commended the management and staff of the Niger State Emergency Management Agency for the prompt intervention, assuring that the government will provide the needed support. Life imprisonment without the option of a fine. Well, that's what the Senate has proposed for anyone convicted of defiling a minor, regardless of the victim's gender. The proposal, which is part of a sweeping amendment under the Criminal Code Act Amendment Bill 2025, is a concurrent bill initially passed by the House of Representatives. Leading that debate on the bill, Senate Leader Okpayemi Bamidele said the amendment seeks to strengthen child protection laws and eliminate gender discrimination in the prosecution of sexual offenses. Our National Assembly correspondent Gloria Umezuki reports.
The President of the Senate leads other lawmakers as plenary resumes on the first legislative day.
I propose that it should be 20 years.
The Criminal Code Act Amendment Bill from the House is up for consideration. During the clause-by-clause consideration of the 8 proposed amendments in the Committee of the Whole, lawmakers strongly debate key provisions of the Criminal Code Act. Among the most significant proposals was the recommendation of life imprisonment without the option of a fine for anyone convicted of defiling a minor, regardless of the victim's gender.
I want to propose that the punishment for defilement is for minor is life imprisonment.
Any defilement of a minor in Nigeria henceforth should carry life imprisonment. Those in support say aye, and those against say nay. No option of fine. So the motion is carried.
The amendments of Section 230 bordering on supplying drugs or instruments for abortion, however, further intensified the debate, raising controversies that leads to the eventual decline of other aspects of the bill.
I want us to distinguish between when is it lawful and when is it unlawful. Every religion practices that we should be faithful in whatever we are doing. But the same religion gives us the right, for instance, if the person has medical issues, the person can go and say, I want to terminate that pregnancy. These are very volatile issues that if we don't have to go into such debate, we should not. We should avoid it.
I advise that we should step this thing down, step it down, do further legislative inquiry.
The bill is subsequently stepped down and referred to the Committee on Judiciary and Human Rights for further action to revert in 2 weeks.
Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, Kogi Central.
However, shortly after, the senator representing Kogi West, Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, attempts to reopen the debate on the controversial clause, causing slight tension in the chamber.
Mr. Senator, this has been stepped down in view of the conviction, but if you have anything to add, you can say.
Sir, this borders on abortion. And
Senator Adams Oshomole, however, swiftly interjects, raising a point of order.
Mr. President, we have been tutored over and over that when a matter has been concluded and you have dropped the gavel, in this particular case, to allow for more conversation, if you grant exemption to distinguish Senator Natasha, then you must extend the same extension to us, in which case our rules will become meaningless. So I think my distinguished sister should agree that these are the rules. Even when I try to...
Distinguished Senator, I'm not a spirit to know what the senator wanted to say. The senator said, I want to say something. But if I knew, I would have referred her to Rule 52, sub 6. So since the Senate has come to a conclusion and has stepped down this, it shall be out of order. So I ruled Senator Natasha out of order.
Lawmakers equally passed the Nigeria Mines Rangers Service Bill seeking to curb illegal mining through second reading.
Meanwhile, the senators passed through second reading a bill to repeal the Nigeria Social Insurance Trust Fund Act and the Employees Compensation Act, and to enact Nigeria Social Security Trust Fund 2025 to make provisions for the compensation for any death, injury or disease or disability arising in the course of work. From the National Assembly, Gloria Umezuki, Channels Television News. And staying at the National Assembly following the recent industrial action by Pengasan against the backdrop of the impasse with Dangote Refinery, the House of Representatives has passed a resolution to protect strategic private investments in Nigeria from the action of labor unions. And this was contained in a motion sponsored by Representatives Ado Dagowa and Abdul Samad Dasuki. The House maintains that the refinery is in the free trade zone and the strike violates the NEPSA Act, which forbids industrial action within the zone in the first 10 years of any investment. Our National Assembly correspondent Terry Kumi has details of this and more from the House.
The new legislative week in the House of Representatives commences with what has now become a daily occurrence in Parliament. Representative Ojema Ojotu from Benue State defects to the majority APC from the PDP.
Mr. Speaker, point of order.
A motion of urgent national importance is raised, drawing attention to the need to protect strategic private investment in Nigeria from union and labor actions.
Concerned that actions by labor unions that disregard the legal protections conferred on free zones under NIPSA Act not only constitute a breach of law, but also create a hostile investment environment that may deter future local and foreign investors.
The House is concerned that an Act of Parliament may have been breached.
We would like to highlight this very important aspect of the NEPSA Act. Please permit me to just highlight that particular act, which is Section 18, subsection 5 of the NEPSA Act, which says, there shall be no strikes, lockouts for a period of 10 years following the commencement of operations within a zone, and any trade dispute arising within the zone shall be resolved only by the authority. Mr. Speaker, this is an act of the Parliament which says any investment within the free trade zone shouldn't have any strike within 10 years of any investment. And like we all know, this refinery came on board just about 2.5 years ago.
Let the relevant committees of the House call all the parties and sit over this, look at it, and come back with recommendations to us.
To take a position without investigation might be an exercise not on the side of a pattern. I think it's a Latin word. It's let both parties be heard.
Meanwhile, 2 constitutional amendment bills have scaled second reading. One to clarify the role of the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission, and another to ensure timely presentation of annual budget estimates by the executive to the legislature.
With the passage of the tax reform bills by the National Assembly and the President signing them into laws, it has become necessary to clarify the balance of physical powers of the Commission and other revenue-generating agencies in order to avoid conflict in the exercise of this function.
In the meantime, the House has passed a resolution to investigate the over $1.8 billion grants and $2.8 billion alleged to have been received by Nigeria from Global Fund and U.S. aid from 2021 to 2025 for the response against HIV, tuberculosis, malaria, and for supporting resilient and sustainable systems for health. Terry Ikumi, Channels Television News.
Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu and key All Progressives Congress, that's APC leaders in the state, have unanimously thrown their weight behind President Bola Tinubu for a second term in office. The ringing endorsement came during the 2025 APC Stakeholders Forum, where leaders cemented their commitment to the president's continued tenure. The governor championed this decision, asserting that President Tinubu has earned the right to another term by delivering a significant portion of his campaign promises. It's a show of strength and unity for Lagos All Progressives Congress as party bigwigs converge on the Eco Hotel and Suites for the 2025 Stakeholders Forum, a strategic gathering to set the tone for the next general elections. From Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu and his deputy Kadri Hamzat to former governors Babatunde Fashola and Akinwumi Ambode, the event brings together the party's past and present power brokers under one roof. Party chairman Cornelius Ojelabi urges members to close ranks and deepen grassroots engagement to sustain APC's dominance in Lagos.
We are placing a 1 million for the polling units that record the highest registration in the ongoing PVC, while 5 million will be given to the ward that recorded the highest PVC registration in the ongoing voters registration.
Mr. Fashola highlights voter apathy as a growing challenge, calling for renewed efforts to reawaken civic participation, especially among the youth.
In 2023, I recall that we actually turned out for ourselves 1.5 million votes, and our closest rival was still around 300,000. But since then, what has happened? I think those are the real questions that this meeting must provoke us to ask. Where are our traditional voters? Are they still with us? Are they turning out for us? And why are they not turning out enough?
Lawmakers from the National Assembly reaffirmed their loyalty to the party's vision and the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Tinubu.
We proudly and unequivocally will continue to support President Bola Ahmed Tinubu come 2027. We have seen his courage and we have felt the impact of his reforms. We are confident in the brighter future he is building for our country.
Rounding out the session, Governor Sanwo-Olu joins other leaders in endorsing the term, describing him as a steady hand Nigeria needs.
President and Commander-in-Chief Bola Ahmed Tinubu should present himself by
by the General House here as stakeholders in Lagos State APC for him to return as our president.
We endorsed President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to go for the second time. So I moved.
I do hereby second the motion on behalf of my colleagues from Lagos State House of Assembly and the people of Lagos State.
With the party's leadership now fully aligned and publicly committed to this goal, the focus shifts entirely to the ground game. In part 2, after the break, Supreme Court reserves judgment on President Tinubu's state of emergency declaration in River State following legal challenge arguments. Please join us again. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our main stories. Tragedy strikes Niger State as fuel tanker explosion claims over 30 lives, leaves dozens battling for survival in a dawn disaster. The Senate moves to impose life imprisonment without parole for anyone found guilty of defiling minors, protects all children equally. The House moves to safeguard vital private investments, passing a resolution to curb industrial disruptions amid Pengassan standoff with Dangote refinery. And U.S. President Donald Trump's anticipated meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin hits a dead end as U.S. officials confirm no immediate plans for talks. To the courts now, where a federal high court sitting in Abakaliki, the Ebonyi state capital, has nullified the local government and councillorship elections that produced the current council chairman in the state, declaring the election unconstitutional. The presiding judge, Justice Hilary Oshoma, held that the July 2024 local government and councillorship elections in the state did not conform with the provisions of the Electoral Act. The court therefore voided and cancelled the local government and the councillorship election, asking the Ebonyi State Independent National Electoral Commission and the state government, who are the second and third respondents, not to conduct further local government and councillorship elections in the state, except in line with the provisions of the Constitution. The court, which granted most of the reliefs sought by the councils to the first plaintiff, Hamilton Obodo, and second, Chief Moody Eherede, granted consequential order on the matter. And the Supreme Court has reserved judgment in a suit challenging the declaration of a state of emergency in River State by President Bola Tinubu. The seven-man panel, led by Justice Inyang Okoro, adjourned after parties in the suit adopted their processes. The plaintiff in that suit are the Attorney General of the 10 states, while the defendants in the suit are the federal government and the National Assembly. Our correspondent Emanuela Ekele reports.
Hearing in the suit instituted by 10 state governors challenging the declaration of a state of emergency in Rivers State by President Bola Tinubu is set to commence here at the Supreme Court of Nigeria. In a move that underscored the seriousness with which the federal government views the case and its resolve to defend the president's constitutional powers of proclamation, the Attorney General of the Federation, Mr. Lateef Fagbemi, personally leads the government's defense. At the day's proceeding, the fifth plaintiff, Delta State, withdrew from the suit, which was not opposed by the counsel to the federal government and Attorney General of the Federation. While adopting his process, the counsel to the states, Mr. Yitayo Jegede, noted that their case was not a denial of the president's power to proclaim a state of emergency, but to challenge the extent to which the proclamation can be made to affect the offices of the governor, deputy governor, and the State House of Assembly. In his argument, the Attorney General of the Federation noted that Rivers State was engulfed in crisis involving the governor and the executives, prompting the president's action. Mr. Fagbemi also submitted that the governor, his deputy, and the State House of Assembly were not removed but suspended as part of extraordinary measures required to bring decorum to the state. He therefore urged this apex court to dismiss the suit in its entirety. Counsel for the National Assembly, Mr. Charles Yohila, aligned himself with the submission of the AGF and urged the court to dismiss the case. After listening to the parties in the suit, the apex court reserved judgment to a date that will be communicated to them. The judgment, when delivered, is expected to mark a defining moment in the interpretation of President's powers under Section 305 of the 1999 Constitution. Emanuela Ekele, Channels Television News.
President Bola Tinubu remains passionate and deeply committed to the advancement of the girl-child education in the country. And those are words coming from the Vice President Kashim Shettima, who made the comments during the meeting with a delegation from Plan International, led by its Director of Programs, Quality and Innovation, Mrs. Helen Ediong, at the Presidential Villa. During the meeting, Vice President Kashim Shettima vacated his seat to a teenager, Ms. Joy Oga, who acted as a one-day Vice President of Nigeria. Our State House correspondent, Empress Simon, reports.
This meeting between Vice President Kashim Shettima and the delegation from Plan International focuses on promoting girl-child education. A report by the United Nations Children's Education Fund, UNICEF, indicates that 7.6 million girls are out of school in Nigeria, 3.9 million at the primary and 3.7 million at the junior secondary level 1. More than 50% of girls are not attending school at the basic education level, the report also indicates. And while 1 million girls drop out between the first and last year of primary school, 0.6 million drop out between primary 6 and junior secondary school 1.
About girl-child education,
Vice President Kashim Shettima assures the delegation of the commitment of President Bola Tinubu's government to promoting girl-child education.
I want to assure you, on behalf of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, that this government is gender-friendly. We believe in inclusivity. We cannot disenfranchise half of our population and expect to grow as a nation.
In a show of mentorship and a demonstration of the commitment to advancing gender equality, the Vice President vacates his seat and invited a teenager, Ms. Joy Oga, to take over the seat of the Vice President for a day and address the nation. In her address, Ms. Orga underscores the need for more investments in education.
We must invest in education that is safe, inclusive, and free from fear for every child in Nigeria, not just the girls I'm talking about here. Enforce laws that prohibit child marriage and uphold the rights of every girl to learn and live freely. End period poverty by providing free sanitary products in school and ensuring water and sanitation for all. Strengthen health and nutrition systems so that no child's future ends before it begins.
As Vice President Kashim Shettima bids farewell to his guests, it is expected that the one-day opportunity given to Ms. Joy Oga to sit in the second office of Nigeria will also serve as an inspiration to many girls and parents on the importance of education irrespective of gender. From the Presidential Villa, Emperor Simon, Channels Television News.
The Oshutokun family has launched the first Oduola Oshutokun Memorial Leadership Lecture Series held in honor of the late former Western Regional Minister of Ekiti Division. The event brought together political leaders and eminent indigenes of Ekiti State to reflect on the patriarch's leadership style.
It is the very first Memorial Leadership Lecture Series in honor of former Western Regional Minister of Ekiti Division, Oduola Oshontokun, and in the hall is an impressive array of dignitaries, including notable sons and daughters of Ekiti State. Chairing the inaugural lecture is former Governor of Ekiti State and former Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Otubani Adebayo, who shares his memories with the Oshontokun family.
A lot of my memories are of spending time in the Oshontokun house in Ibadan. Growing up, I got to know Akin, Shunt, and all the other Oshotokuns, who we all grew up together, and we have pleasant memories of our time together.
Chief Oshuntokun's younger brother, the last of 8 children, Professor Akinjide Oshuntoku, in his keynote address, while telling stories of his brother's early life, calls for a review of the Nigerian constitution.
There have been many explanations for the lack of progress in our national life. There is a problem of overpopulation, lack of planning, of total absence of rationality, politics taking precedence over the economy, and above all, the constitution which most of the time lifted from the books of other countries and planted on the environment in Nigeria, which most of the time is inappropriate, if not hostile, and unrelated to our political history and experience.
The integrity of Chief Oshuntokun is one that the family remains very proud of and live by.
If you are good at your job, he will say, why are you bringing anything? I'm not asking anything from you. My salary is enough. And the same way he raised all of us and his brothers.
His value, or what distinguishes him, is one of the problems of Nigeria today. That is integrity in public office. So he is a model in our respect. I mean that contemporary Nigerian political leadership should emulate.
For over a decade, Chief Oduola Oshontokun gave politics a face of integrity as a politician in Ekiti State, parliamentarian and regional minister.
And still ahead on the news at 10, lawmakers demand transparency from CBN and Ministry of Finance over billions released to states since 2023. That's in business news. Please join us again. Welcome back. You're still watching the news at 10 on Channels Television. We head over to Abuja Studios now, where Victoria Longton is standing by. Over to you, Victoria.
Many thanks, Anne. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Mr. Nyesom Wike, is challenging past administrations to provide evidence they have done more projects than the administration of President Bola Tinubu since the inception of the federal capital. Mr. Wike made this known during the commissioning of the newly provided engineering infrastructure in Wuye district, ending his over 1 month of projects and flag-off and commissioning across the FCT. Amongst the projects flagged off were 12 new roads across various districts, Lot 1 of the Light Up Abuja Solar Street Light Project, provision of access roads to the Mabushi Bus Terminal, the construction and expansion of water supply to satellite towns Lot 1 and 2, and most recently the flag-off of the construction of 600-bed hostels for the Nigerian Law School in Buari. This commissioning of the newly provided engineering infrastructure in Wuye district marks the end of the month-long project flag-off and commissioning by the FCT administration. The ceremony is attended by top government officials, including National Assembly members and political associates of the FCT minister. In her opening remarks, the Minister of State of the Federal Capital Territory, Mrs. Maria Mahmood, commended the pace of development in the nation's capital.
And this project is a clear testament to our government's unwavering commitment to improve the quality of life of our people through enhancing accessibility and also ensuring urban aesthetics.
The Minister of the FCT, Mr. Nyesom Wike, then challenged past administrations to show records that they have done more projects than the administration of President Bola Tinubu since the inception of the federal capital.
I want to challenge anybody who will say in the history of FCT, in any administration, who has beaten this record of the New Hope agenda. If there is any administration since the inception of the Federal Capital Territory that has beaten this record of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, let him speak up now.
He then restated his commitment to developing other sectors in the nation's capital.
20 days is not 2 days. So we will take a rest and come back and focus on education. We will take 20 days to show Nigerians, to show social media presidents of what we have done in the education sector.
The minister, flanked by the Minister of State and other guests, then proceed to commission the project. And in a remarkable act of compassion and inclusive leadership, Cross River State Governor Mr. Basiotu has reached out to over 7,000 widows across the state. The governor distributed cash gifts, wrappers and bags of rice to ease the economic hardship faced by vulnerable families.
It's a day of color, gratitude and renewed hope in Calabar, the Cross River State capital, as thousands of widows adorned in vibrant attires gather to receive empowerment items from the governor, Basiotu. The governor explains that the initiative is part of his administration's ongoing efforts to cushion the harsh economic realities and restore dignity to widows, orphans, and the less privileged.
The economy has been very difficult, and truly, the government is doing its very best to make sure that we reach everybody at the point of receipt. So this celebration today, I dedicate it totally to the widows. That's why I decided to start.
Governor Tu reaffirms his commitment to policies that prioritize the welfare of citizens, assuring that more empowerment programs are on the way. Also speaking at the event, the governor's wife, Reverend Yohan describes the widows as symbols of strength and resilience. She emphasizes that the support is a message of love and inclusion, assuring the women that they are not forgotten.
I must commend you. I'm proud of my women, because without you, of course, there's no governance. I say that because we are more in numbers than the men. The men, you're here, kids for egos. We can make them younger. And so we've come out here to encourage him in order to motivate him to keep doing what he knows how to do best.
Representatives of the beneficiaries expressed heartfelt appreciation to the governor and his wife for their continued concern for the less privileged.
Widows are the less privileged people anybody can remember. Nothing that stops you, sir, to celebrate your birthday. The caliber of your people, of what you are. They decided to celebrate your birthday. People like us in
In further demonstration of compassion, Governor Tu extends the gesture to inmates of the Afokan Correctional Center, residents of motherless baby homes, and senior citizens, donating food items and other essentials to support their welfare. The governor is also pledging to sustain and expand such interventions across the state, describing this initiative as only the beginning of a broader empowerment drive for the people of Cross River State.
Now, the blueprint for generational wealth is not just about making money, it's about lasting legacy. And that's the call from Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, urging well-meaning Nigerians to invest their resources in projects that will outlive them. It was part of his message at the official commissioning of the Kensington Adebukola Adebutu Research Center at the College of Medicine, University of Lagos, an event that coincided with the donor's 90th birthday celebration. Our correspondent Chris Ilems reports.
Thank you.
It's a gathering of Nigerians of notes, honoring a nonagenarian's profound gift to education. A magnificent on the College of Medicine, University of Lagos. Also present to be part of this landmark commissioning is Governor Sanwo-Olu, as well as the Minister of Education, Tunji Alausa. The real star of the day, beaming at 90, Sir Kessington Adebutu, the financier of this project alongside his wife, is obviously looking forward to an eventful day.
Please put your hands together for them.
The Provost of the College of Medicine wastes no time expressing gratitude, calling the facility a launch pad for groundbreaking research.
This KAARC is an edifice meant to meet the yearning needs of the basic science world-class animal holding center for biomedical research and clinical trials and other clinical-based research spread across disciplines.
The Minister of Education echoes this sentiment, describing the donation in glowing terms and challenging other Nigerians to partner the government to build critical national assets.
Education is not the responsibility of government. We must collaborate, we must partner. Any act of giving, whether through infrastructure, scholarship, or endowments, and build the foundation of a stronger and more equitable nation.
For Kessington Adebutu, the center holds great significance as it celebrates its 90th birthday.
This center is not just a physical structure. It symbolizes a lifetime of divine favor, guidance, and purpose. It also represents the realization of long-held vision, a deep commitment to improving healthcare and advancing medical research in our beloved country.
While the keynote presentation emphasizes the future of research and the potential impact on society, an obviously grateful Governor Sanwo-Olu encourages Nigerians to toll the path of great minds such as Pa Adebutu.
We want to thank you, sir. We want to say that what you are about is about ensuring that we, the younger ones, can be inspired. We can be encouraged that the spirit of philanthropy and giving is not a wasteful spend. It is a work of humanity.
The icing on the birthday cake is the official unveiling of the Kessington Adebukola Adebutu Research Center to the nation. The research center is dedicated to cutting-edge research, innovation, and training of exceptional minds who will shape the future of medicine, not just in Nigeria, but beyond. Chris Ilems, Channels Television News.
And that's it from Abuja. It's now over to Will Ibong in Lagos for business news. Thank you, Victoria. And the House of Representatives is asking the Minister of Finance and the Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria to submit a detailed report of all federal government financial interventions extended to states and local governments outside the Federation Accounts Allocation Committee distributions since 2023. The House reached this resolution following a motion sponsored by Representative Abdul Samad Dansuki. The House is concerned that states have received several interventions and must be transparent and accountable in spending public resources.
Interventions are vital to addressing specific financial and developmental needs at subnational levels. The absence of a consolidated public record for these disbursements may undermine transparency, hinder effective oversight, and limit public accountability. The House resolves to 1. Urge the Minister of Finance and the Governor of Central Bank of Nigeria to provide to the House within 2 weeks a detailed report of all federal government financial interventions outside the FAC allocations extended to the states and local governments from 2023 to date, including the nature of each intervention, amount disbursed, dates, recipient entities, and conditions, if any.
Now, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company, NNPC Limited, has reported a sharp fall in profits, plunging to 216 billion naira in September, a 71% drop from 748 billion naira recorded in April 2025. According to the company's monthly report summaries, profits rose to 1.05 trillion naira in May, dipped to 905 billion naira in June, fell steeply to 185 billion naira in July, then recovered slightly to 539 billion naira in August before sliding again in September. The report attributed the September decline to custom tax adjustments as well as the reduced crude oil production linked to a 3-day strike by the senior oil workers under Pengasin. And still on oil, the Trump administration is preparing to purchase 1 million barrels of crude oil to refill the U.S. Strategic Petroleum Reserve, capitalizing on current low oil prices. The Energy Department plans to issue a solicitation for delivery in December and January using funds allocated under the recent tax and spending law. Meanwhile, oil prices settled at a 5-month low on Monday as investors weighed a potential global supply glut. And with that, we're checking on the domestic equities markets, which built on gains from Monday. The stock market gained 1.01% today as the all-share index broke the 150,000 mark to close at an all-time high. Ladi Williams tells us more.
Good evening and welcome to the Market Close Summary. Today, the market showed a burst of upward momentum driven by positive sentiment in key sectors, and just like that, the all-share index had a solid 1.01% advance, hitting and crossing 150,000 level for the first time ever, just as I expected. You know, yesterday it was about 54 points to get that, and it did smash that to 151,000 level. All right, let's look at the top trades now. I see Fidelity Bank on the list. Also see the likes of VFT Group PLC, a proprietary investment company. They launched about a 50.6 billion rights issue as part of its strategy to consolidate growth across Africa. But the stock, that dropped about 1% today. And that concludes our look at today's trading action. You know, definitely crossing new levels there with the sectoral performance, consumer goods shining today. 3.53% to rise there. Oil and gas, 2.02%. So we'll say the market is on fire, but looking at the market breadth, we have more losers than gainers.
And that's Business News is back to Anne for more on the News at 10. Thank you, Will. And outside our shores, let's join Simon Puser with more international news and around the world in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Sanai Takaichi has won a historic vote to become Japan's first female prime minister. The 64-year-old conservative is known as Japan's Iron Lady, a nickname given to her due to her admiring UK's former Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher. This is her third attempt at becoming Japan's leader, and she's the fourth Prime Minister in 5 years from her scandal-hit party, the LDP. A man who shot and seriously injured the Slovakian Prime Minister, Robert Fico, in an attack last year has been sentenced to 21 years in prison after being found guilty of terrorism. Jurai Suntila, a 72-year-old pensioner, fired 5 shots at the Prime Minister in May 2024 when he was on a visit to Handlova, around 112 miles from the capital Bratislava. The gunman shot Fico at extremely close range just as he was reaching out to shake his hand, thinking he was a supporter. US Vice President J.D. Vance has arrived in Israel as part of the Trump administration's efforts to strengthen the Gaza ceasefire agreement. He is expected to push the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to start negotiations on long-term issues for a permanent end to the war with Hamas. The two special US envoys who helped negotiate the deal, Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, also held talks with Mr. Netanyahu on Monday.
Well, Jared's the investor here. I'm not going to give you a percentage, but look, what we've seen the past week gives me great optimism the ceasefire is going to hold. And if we get from where we were a week ago to a long-term, durable peace between Israel and Gaza, there are going to be hills and valleys. There are going to be moments where it looks like things aren't going particularly well. But given that, and given the history of conflict, I think that everybody should be proud of where we are today.
As far as the demilitarization goes, once the ISF is up, there needs to be a security force that they can feel safe from, that in order for it to be the transition to be complete. So that needs to happen. There are considerations being happening now in the area that the IDF controls, as long as that can be secured to start the construction as a new Gaza, in order to give the Palestinians living in Gaza a place to go, a place to get jobs, a place to live. So that's one of the many things being considered. Right now, again, there's been several work streams that have occurred over the last years. Those are all being synthesized and updated here at the center, and then they'll go before President Trump and the Board of Peace to get recommendations on what to build, how to phase it, but that's definitely something now that's being very strongly considered.
Preliminary report into last month's funicular crash in Lisbon that killed 16 people has detailed a litany of failings. Portugal's Air and Rail Accident Investigations Bureau said an underground cable, which acted as a counterweight between two carriages, broke, causing the crash. They said it was defective and had never been certified for passenger transportation. A drone attack has hit an area near the international airport in Sudan's capital, Khartoum, a day before it was set to resume domestic flights for the first time since war broke out in 2023. Residents of the city reported hearing explosions in several districts early on Tuesday morning. Social media images appear to show a series of blasts. There is no information on casualties or damage, and no one has claimed responsibility. A tornado has torn through Val d'Oise, north of Paris, toppling construction cranes, damaging properties and uprooting trees in its path. One person was killed and 4 others critically injured, authorities said. The town, around 20 kilometers north of Paris, was hardest hit by the sudden twister, which caused damage in multiple districts. And parts of the White House's East Wing have been demolished as construction begins on US President Donald Trump's new ballroom. Construction crews tore down massive chunks of a covered entryway and windows in the East Wing, which Mr. Trump said is being fully modernized. The president previously said his $250 million White House ballroom would be near the existing structure but would not change it. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel studios in Lagos.
Thank you, Simon. Welcome to Sports News. Winners have emerged at the second AIDA Foundation's Lagos Schools Tennis Tournament. The competition was staged at the Lagos Lawn Tennis Club in Onikon, with students watching their schoolmates from the AIDA Pavilion of the club. The AIDA Foundation promised a long-term platform for young players to develop their skills.
The AIDA Foundation takes its youth empowerment and development initiative a notch higher with an inter-school tennis championship in Lagos. Held under the theme, Serving Rising Champions, the tournament attracted over 100 players from secondary schools across the state to the historic Lagos Lawn Tennis Club in Onikon. Daniel Igbinovia, Onyekachi Ogunjofo, and Yahaya Isa emerged champions in the boys' categories. In the girls' circuit, Chisimdi Afambonu, Adesimibo Olanio, Tiffany Osho, and Mofifi Oluwa Atilola claimed top honors. The AIDA Foundation says the championship continues to serve as a platform for discovering and nurturing Nigeria's next generation of tennis stars.
This is something that we are very committed to doing, not just for primary schools, but also secondary schools. because we feel that it is time to raise a next generation of tennis players in Nigeria. And we are committed to making sure that we discover talent. And as we discover the talent, we nurture that talent, we grow that talent, we equip that talent, and let's just see whether some of the stars from this tournament will one day be superstars on the global platform.
We are getting children, under 18s who play from the school. But what we also want to do is give an opportunity to those who aren't in the schools. So is there something about communal tennis courts so that even if people are in schools where they're not playing tennis, we can get them from the grassroots and find some sort of hidden talent there.
This year's edition also featured gift prizes for winners alongside educational grants and support for participation in future tournaments.
Nigeria's under-17 girls, the Flamingos, will be fighting for survival in Group D when they face France in their second group game at the ongoing FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup in Morocco. The girls lost their opening fixture to Canada, but will be facing Samoa 1-4 in their opening game. The last time Nigeria met France at this tournament was 13 years ago in Azerbaijan, where both sides played out a tense 0-0 draw in regulation time before France edged Nigeria 5-3 on penalties to advance from the quarterfinals. That sports is back to you, Anne.
Thank you, Chris. And the main news again. Tragedy struck today in Niger State as a fuel tanker explosion claimed the lives of over 30 people and dozens were left battling for survival in a fiery dawn disaster. But that's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Nwawado. Good night and stay safe.